everyone, we're Hayley and Jake, and in this video we're showing you how we built our DIY rooftop deck that holds our solar panels and our decking.
So we're super happy with how our decking turned out. Some of the key features are it holds 400 watts of solar, it's budget friendly and DIY, no welding involved. It holds a large deck for us to sit on, and we did the whole thing ourselves. So let's get into it. We weren't actually planning on adding a roof rack to our van build, but when we were cutting the hole for our fan, we had so much fun being on the roof that we decided we wanted to build a rooftop deck. So we came up with a design. This is it. You can see we have a rooftop deck, a mount for our 4 solar panels, and then plenty of space for us to hang out. We wanted to keep this as budget friendly as possible because it wasn't in our initial build. So we looked at 2 ways of doing it DIY. We looked at Unistrut and 80/20. 80/20 is a really popular solution a lot of people use. It's anodized aluminum and great for machining. But for what we wanted, didn't actually add any extra benefit. So we opted for Unistrut. So this is Unistrut. It's a U-channel extrusion with a hole on one side that lets you slide things into it like nuts or different attachments. The one we got is T-slotted, which means that slots on the bottom side. And this finish is called pre-galvanized. You can get Unistrut in a bunch of different finishes. For outdoor use, you should use either pre-galvanized, hot dip galvanized, or aluminum. Aluminum was quite a bit more expensive and didn't really give us any extra benefit. It's lighter, but then you need quite a bit more of it. We wanted the extra strength. Hot dip galvanized is the best finish for corrosion resistance, but it's about $8 a foot, and we're going to paint it anyways. We want our roof rack to be black. So what we opted for is a pre-galvanized, which is about $2 a foot Canadian. And then we're going to paint it with a trem-clad galvanized primer, and then a black trem-clad paint. Now at this point, you might be wondering, what am I doing with solar panels? That's a pretty valid question. We are actually going to be attaching these solar panels to the Unistrut in 3 ways. So we're going to be taping it, and since we're taping it as well as bolting it and as well as using Loctite, I wanted to put the tape on before we painted so that there's a good adhesion between the tape, the brackets, and the steel, so that we're not just taping to a layer of paint. So one problem I just ran into is that the hole pattern here doesn't really match the Unistrut. There's only a couple spots I can get it to work. So aluminum is very soft. What I'm going to do is position the brackets where I want them, and then I'll just drill a hole in the aluminum bracket where I need it to be. So we have to be really careful when painting galvanized steel. Most things don't actually stick to it, so we're using a special primer. This came coated in machine oil, so I just cleaned it off. We're going to let it dry, and then we'll prime it. Now at this point in the video, I know what you're thinking. He has a hole in the shirt? Well, the story of how I got that is long and harrowing and has absolutely nothing to do with this video, except to say that we are finally ready to start painting, and this is my painting shirt. After about 4 hours of prep, we are finally ready to start, and that is perfect because it is December and we're losing daylight. So let's get started. We have our handy dandy trem-clad primer for galvanized metals. So we're going to be painting with this, and that's going to be the first 2 coats. Hayley just texted me to tell me what the fastest way to paint metal is. Turns out, snapping. Holy shit, it's morning. And it's primed. Let's see if we can get it to go the rest of the way. Whoa, look at that. Priming this initially took about 2 hours, and then the painting black yesterday took about 3. The outside is very easy to do, but the inside in the U-channel is pretty difficult to get at. So what I ended up doing, and it worked really well, is I got a rag, and then I kind of stuck my fingers in it and slid it all along the channel, dipping it in paint. My hands got pretty messy, but I was wearing gloves, and that seemed to work really well. I'm pretty happy with how everything is turning out. I'm gonna give the outside 1 more coat and then let it dry, and we'll put it on the van. So what pre-galvanized unistrut means is before it was formed in the unistrut, the steel was coated in a thin zinc layer. That's a pretty good protection. The hot dip galvanized, the difference is that after the unistrut is made, they dip the whole thing in zinc and it has a much thicker layer. With pre-galvanized, if you leave it outside, the cut edges can start bleeding rust eventually. So we didn't want that to happen. So what we've done to protect that is we've primed it and covered it in a trem-clad black rust paint to protect it. So with this, we should be able to use the benefits of the zinc without the added cost of the hot dip galvanized, which is again about 3 or 4 times the cost. And then the paint makes it look nice and should protect it for the long run in the elements. We have the unistrut painted. We're on the roof of the van. Now it's time to get these pieces installed. So the ProMaster comes with tabs on the roof so that you can install accessories and roof racks without drilling into it, which is awesome because the less holes the better, but it does mean you need adapter brackets for it. We bought these little guys from Unaka Co. for $40 Canadian a pair. We have the extended ProMaster and it has 5 rows of mounting points. And these little guys just slide over the little nubs that are in the top of the van and let you bolt things to it. These are, again, by Unaka Gear Co. They're 6061 aluminum, and the company has been awesome to deal with. Because it's aluminum and we have stainless steel bolts, I really wanted to make sure that we'd be able to get a proper torque on the bolt without stripping the aluminum threads. So I contacted Eric at Unaka, and he was really helpful. And that actually brings me to something I wanted to talk about, which is bolts and torque for things outside the van. In a bolt, you have the male bolt and the female thread. It can either be a nut or, in this case, a threaded insert. And what happens when you tighten the bolt is you're actually stretching it. And when it stretches, it doesn't want to stretch, so it clamps. There's force clamping it back down, which is why it gets tight. And it's really important that you tighten your bolt enough to stretch it properly, because that is what stops it from loosening. That's why torquing it to the proper spec is so important on outdoor applications, especially a vehicle that's moving. So you need to look up the torque spec for the specific material you're on. So the bolts that came with this are 18/8 stainless steel. They are 5/16, and they need 120 inch-pounds or 10 foot-pounds of torque to be held properly. So we're also going to be attaching these with Loctite. Buy a torque wrench for things on the roof of your van. They're about 30 bucks. They're not expensive. The ones we got off Amazon for $30. This is what's going to stop these from loosening and make it safe on the highway. Hey guys, Jake here. If you do decide to go with these brackets and you feel like supporting our channel, we have an affiliate link for them in the description below. We really appreciate the support, and back to the video. Hayley's back. Let's get cracking.
It's a brisk day up on the van, but it is the day that we are installing our solar panels.
So we bought these brackets to mount our solar panels. We have them taped to the unistrut. We're going to use bolts and nuts and attach them. And then after that, we're going to bolt our solar panels to the brackets.
So I went around and I put bolts, washer, and then on the other side, if you can see it, there's another washer and a nut. I did that on all of the brackets that are joining onto the unistrut all the way around. There's some more. And Jake is going around and torquing them. So what we do is mark it with a marker. So 1 line means it's been torqued, and then 2 lines means it's been double checked. So all of the brackets are attached to the unistrut, and we have our first solar panel up on the roof. It's not attached yet, that's coming next. So we've bolted down the brackets to the unistrut, and then we've got 3M tape on each of the brackets.
And then we're going to tape them down and they should be solid.
They're not going anywhere.
Yesterday we got these solar panels finally installed. We put them on these brackets here and mounted them flush with the unistrut so that they're only sitting up a little bit. It's looking awesome so far. Today we're going to drill a hole, put the last one on, and wire up our solar panels. So yesterday we installed this little cable gland just as a way to make sure everything is nice and sealed. One thing I didn't expect is it was really hard to get down because the wires had a lot of resistance to bending. So we actually had to silicone it and then stack bricks on it overnight to make it stay. If I was going to do it again in the future, I'd probably get No More Nails double-sided tape, $10 from Home Depot, put strips of tape down so it would stick, and then silicone around that. But it's watertight. Rained last night and nothing came in. We're going to install our last solar panel and then tie the cables. That was really difficult. If you're gonna do this, attach the solar panels before you put the unistrut on the van. It's done. Oh, hello there.
You're just basting your wood.
So we got our cedar cut to size, but because it's new, we're going to be applying an oil-based stain to keep it water sealed so that it'll last well on the roof. But before we do that, it recommends using a cleaner to get rid of the mill glaze. So we're just cleaning our wood, then we're going to let it dry overnight, and then we're going to apply an oil-based sealant tomorrow.
Go protect your deck.
Yeah.
Protect your wood. Protect your wood. Good morning. So today is the day that we're going to start installing our decking. We oiled it a couple days ago and we've let it sit and dry for the last couple days. And now we're going to start installing it on the roof. Jake's just over here gathering up all of the bolts that we're using. And a new squirrel has moved into the neighborhood. He is living in this tree here. So Finley is keeping a close watch on our new neighbor. So another thing we've sort of been figuring out is the spacing we want in between our panels on the roof. So this setup here, they're all spaced by about 1/2 inch. And then these ones we used 5/16, which is a piece of our shiplap. So if we do this spacing, it's closer together. However, we would need to cut one of the planks in half. So that's a little bit more extra work and we're not sure if we'd like the finished look. So I think we're gonna go with the 1/2 inch gap between the planks. The spacing's, it's a little wider, but I don't think it'll be an issue. And yeah, we can change it later. And it's also really cold right now, so when it warms up, these boards will expand a little bit. So I think it'll be okay. Hello.
Hello.
What you doing? Bye.
Leaving.
We've got a piece of plywood here that we have measured out our bolt pattern. So here's one. There's one there. One there. Yep. And this is the first piece of our decking that we're going to start putting holes into.
See how it goes.
Yeah. So not much has changed from when we were installing the fan. We're up here, pitch black, finishing up our deck.
There's ice on the van this time.
Yeah, there's ice on the solar panels right now.
There's ice on the floor too.
It looks so good though.
We hope you guys liked that video of our DIY roof rack deck build. We got our 4 solar panels and our cedar deck installed.
Thanks for watching. If you learned something, please give us a little thumbs up. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We love answering all of them. And we'll see you in the next build video.
Bye.
Bye.